Folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Our phone number is 706-889-9700. If you ever want to contact the show or if you have news, it is also chief@fetchernews.com. Follow us on Twitter @FYNTV, @FetcherNewsTV, and FYNTV, @FetcherNews. Follow us on Twitter. Also, our YouTube channel, FYNTV, Fetcher News. Subscribe, and anytime we're doing a live broadcast, you will get a notification. Now, this next half hour, we're going to focus a little more in on the governor's race of Georgia. But the last 30 minutes of the show, from 9:30 to 10, we are going to focus that whole half hour on North Korea, the 3 potentially released Korean American hostages, Rudy Giuliani saying, the president's attorney saying, hey, the president paid Michael Cohen back the $130,000, nothing to see here, move on. And Sean Hannity said, say what? We're going to talk about that. We're going to go down the entire list that needs to be talked about. So just stay with us. We're not shying away, because I want to make, obviously, a couple more predictions. Now, another thing before we get into this half hour, if you see our show card, stay tuned, or whatever it is, or coming next, you see our show card. We're not going to commercial, so don't leave your seat. We're just going to, when the candidate, Hunter Hill, calls in to the show, we're going to go to show card, plug the candidate in, make sure, do an earpiece test, make sure our audio, and come right back. We're looking at tops 15 seconds, so don't go anywhere. So we abruptly go, 15 seconds, we'll be back with Hunter Hill coming up between 9:15 and 9:20, and we have a hard break at 9:30, so we're going to ask him immediately to rapid fire these questions. Now, the campaign for governor is really in those final stages. We are in May. It's May 3rd. Early voting has started. I have already started to notice the Georgia peach saying I voted sticker on several people. I do not early vote. I do not believe in early voting. I believe in election day. That's me personally. Some things could happen between now and election day. Okay, so. Amanda, I have asked for a copy of that. Campaign ad for Hunter Hill. If you get that from their campaign, because the only one I can find is on Facebook, and we can't load it. If you get that commercial and you have it loaded, give me an indicator that you have it. I want to play it before the interview, okay?
Hunter's manager just emailed me, and I've got it ready for you.
You got it ready. Okay, so you have that ready. Do you have the other one from Clay Tippins?
I do.
Okay, now here's what we have. We have a presumptive front-runner, Casey Cagle, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle. But, I'm going to tell you something. I spent all day with the Lieutenant Governor yesterday, and this is my assumption, is the campaign thoroughly understands that they're in a tough race. They can't take anything for granted. They're not taking anything for granted, and they're not acting that way. They're in a tough race because they see Cagle's numbers in early polling, which I don't think is really accurate. Then they see that very fine line between Hunter Hill and Brian Kemp, and then we get down to the 4% Clay Tippins, and we get down to the 4% Michael Williams, which added together, I know it doesn't take a rocket scientist, is 8%. And believe it or not, those two together is a coveted 8% that a Brian Kemp or Hunter Hill would love to have. Or those people would like to pull Brian Kemp or Hunter Hill back. So my thought is Clay Tippins is not trying to launch himself into the race. He's trying to pull Hunter Hill back. And I don't know. Now I don't endorse candidates, but I don't particularly approve of some of the tactics that Clay Tippins is using in this campaign. I understand dirty campaigning. I understand ugly campaigning. But, Hunter Hill is an Army Ranger. I've read the website. Don't get me wrong. He has served. He's a patriot. But then Clay Tippins is a Navy SEAL. So I'm really caught off guard. This one crossed the line to me. Let's play the Clay Tippins ad that he attacks Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, which is, in my words, ridiculous, and he crosses the line, absolutely, with Hunter Hill.
Casey Cagle talks about his Georgia values, but he championed tax cuts for a strip club. Hunter Hill talks like he's Rambo, but he's really a Benedict Arnold who's for gun control. Just ask the NRA. I'm a businessman and a Navy SEAL. And most importantly, I am what I say I am. I'll cut taxes, crush sex trafficking, and get our kids reading. So let's roll.
Now, if he would have went after a rating of Hunter Hill's, if he would have went after an NRA rating, if he would have went after Hunter Hill concerning the Second Amendment, fine. But we won't do it now, but we will ask you, it's a traitor, period. We'll just box it, it's a traitor. You can go look it up later, but Benedict Arnold, there was a time in my life, now the younger generation, I'd say it like that, I don't know if it has the sting, but to me, at my age, a Benedict Arnold has a sting. It has a sting to me. It's just not right to call somebody a Benedict Arnold, especially somebody that is a patriot. Now, I'm not endorsing Hunter Hill this morning. I don't endorse candidates, but I am going to say I may disagree with him on the issues. We may discuss the issues and have a different view. He may have some different thoughts on guns than I do, whatever it may be. But a patriot, he is. And I think what cut me, Amanda, is Clay Tippins is a Navy SEAL. So I was upset over that, okay?
It is disrespectful.
Yeah, it's disrespectful, but coming from a Navy SEAL, I mean, that's cold. Now, here is Hunter Hill, and he's going to be on in a minute. Here's Hunter Hill's latest campaign ad that he's running. And I'm going to say this is where I'm trying to find all the words to not, to not sound a certain way. But let's play this ad and let me tell you what I think about this ad. Okay, go ahead.
Army Ranger training made Hunter Hill a leader. But during 3 combat tours of duty, it was Christ who strengthened him.
Make us be sharp when we're in the gun and behind the wheel, and give us the strength to use our abilities to help train this A&P. In Christ's name, amen. Let's roll.
As governor, Hunter will protect Christian values, defend our Second Amendment, and eliminate the income tax. Leader, fighter, Christian. Hunter Hill, the true conservative for governor.
Now, I believe in staying on message. If I'm a candidate, if I was advising a candidate, I believe on staying on message. I believe on saying the same thing over and over and over and letting it sink in. Okay, I understand that. But to me, all through the campaign, no matter what question, and we'll see this morning, no matter what question is asked in a roundabout way. Hey,
his manager wants to know if we want to go ahead and do the call. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm ready. I was just waiting. Yeah, I'm ready. So.
All right, let's go ahead and go to card, and I might do a short commercial, and we'll be right back to the audience.
Okay, we're going to take a brief break. Stay with us, and we're going to get Hunter Hill on the phone.
win.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Joining us now, candidate for Georgia governor on the Republican primary ticket, Hunter Hill. Mr. Hill, how are you this morning?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing great. It's great to be with you.
Give me just a brief, and I know we have I was told by your campaign, a hard 9:30 or whenever you have to get on to your next stop, because I do know you have scheduled stops and the push is on. So don't take this wrong, but, I want to get some pretty fast questions and answers. That's about as nice as I can say. Are you okay?
Very good.
Are you okay with that? Where are you at today? What's on the campaign trail for today in Hunter Hill campaign?
Well, we started our bus tour in Northwest Georgia, had a great day on day one, then went over to Northeast Georgia, and today we are in Augusta in Columbia County.
Okay, so you're over in Augusta on a bus tour. Yesterday, we thank you for visiting Ellijay, Georgia. I'm sorry that I had actually some guests in yesterday, some guest hosts, and we were not able to have you in the studio. That's why I wanted to get you on immediately. But we thank you for visiting Ellijay, Georgia, and Mike's Ellijay restaurant. And we know we caught up with you, FetcherNews.com, over in Dahlonega yesterday. I want to ask you some questions. I, for one, feel the preliminary polling is really skewed, but we're going to go with what we see out there and what we're being told. We're hearing that Casey Cagle is the presumptive front runner, but then we're neck and neck with you and Brian Kemp in second. But the scale of the undecided is enormous. So this is really a second, no disrespect, not that you couldn't win first, but this is really open for that second spot, and what is mathematically going to be a runoff, correct?
Well, it's very true there's going to be a runoff. And look, we are better than that poll indicates, but we can't worry about polls. All we can do is worry about sharing our true conservative vision. We feel confident about our position, strong position in second, and that we're closing the gap against Cagle every day. The reality is voters are looking for an alternative to the political class, an alternative to career politicians who campaign like Ronald Reagan and then govern like Barack Obama.
Well, let me say this, sir. My opinion of what I'm seeing out there, because I'm watching the Facebook page posts and I'm watching the articles, and we just played for our viewers here the Benedict Arnold. And I know you're getting asked that all the time. The Benedict Arnold Clay Tippins commercial depicting you as someone hiding behind the tree. Have you spoke to him about that? Have you spoke to his campaign? Has he reached out to you? Has there been any apology? Because I think that was pretty, I don't know, I'm really not okay with that myself.
I have no need to speak to him. The bottom line is he spoke to everybody very clearly about his lack of character and understanding about the great veterans we have all over this state. Look, we have hundreds of thousands of veterans who honorably serve their country, and to call somebody like myself who led troops in 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan a Benedict Arnold, which is our nation's first traitor, is an abomination, and it's ridiculous. And the bottom line is it brought great discredit upon his service and the service of these great veterans in Georgia. But we put it behind us. We move on. We keep continuing to tell the truth about our record. I have an A rating from the NRA. And I earned an A rating from the NRA because every chance I got to vote on an expansion of the Second Amendment, I voted for it. And I also fought to defend our Constitution and the principles enshrined in it on 3 combat tours. So I'm the only candidate that has those bona fides in terms of protecting our foundational constitutional principles. And desperate candidates will say anything to get elected.
Well, Mr. Hill, let me say this. I think we've spoke several times. I will debate with you on policy all day, and in fact, I probably enjoy that too much, but I want to say thank you for your service. You're a patriot, and I think what really set me back on that is Clay Tippins is a Navy SEAL, and it would be no different than anybody else running the commercial, but coming from him, knowing your service. So we'll leave that alone, but I guess that's what just made me step back just a little further on what that candidate did. So, and I think you and I have gotten to know each other. We'll debate policy, we'll debate issues, but thank you for your service. Let's go on to the NRA. Now, again, and I'm bringing him up for a reason, okay? Not Casey Cagle. I'm bringing up Clay Tippins for a reason because there's something I see here in the water. Is he's polling 4% if that is correct. But I don't think he's attacking you to launch himself further in the poll. It looks like he's trying to pull you back. On a Facebook post, he really went after you with a picture of you and Kasim Reed, the former mayor of Atlanta. And as you said, you have an NRA rating of an A. That's this year. But he says that you have a C in 2012. Is that accurate that you got a C from the NRA in 2012?
Well, as I mentioned to you, I said I earned the A because of my voting record. When I did not have a voting record, the only way the NRA can score your positions is by giving you a questionnaire. And I filled the questionnaire out wrong, and I tried to talk to the NRA about it, but I did go through that election cycle in 2012 with a C. And the reality is, having earned the A through my actual voting record is why the NRA has given me an A. So, yeah, there was a C that was given to me out of the gates as I was new to politics and filled the questionnaire out wrong. But I have earned an A based on my record and my service.
Well, let me say I have read, and I want to thank you for that. You did send us your NRA survey, and we do have a copy, so we appreciate your campaign. We have asked all the campaigns to send their NRA survey, and the only 2 NRA surveys that we received is your campaign and Brian Kemp. So we appreciate you sending that survey over. I read every single question on that survey in detail, and I would just say, I might be confused by a question and put an X in the wrong place. So we're not gonna go back and forth on that. You do currently have an A rating for the NRA from the NRA. Why do you feel Tippins is attacking you, not Brian Kemp, not Michael Williams? And I know in the ads he puts Casey Cagle, but why so much attacking you? Do you feel like that they see you as surging and they're trying to pull you back?
Absolutely. Look, we have a true conservative message for Georgia, and we've only been in the state Senate for 5 years, and that's why I'm running. We don't have forever to make some of these changes, so I have a sense of urgency to change it, and I think he's frustrated that he's not getting traction. And that's why he's attacking us. But I can't worry about that. We want to eliminate the Georgia state income tax. We want to move Georgia to a more limited and focused government that delivers results for taxpayers. And we want to elevate education in Georgia by letting the money follow the child and put the free market principles of competition into K-12 education and elevate all boats. Because, our founders said they believed in protecting life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How are you going to pursue your happiness if you don't have a foundational solid K-12 education? You can't do it. And we've got to attack the government-centric approaches to education and elevate all boats.
Yesterday, our reporter Bill Johnson caught up with you in Dahlonega. He asked you several questions. I have several of the quotes that you gave him. But one of the questions we wanted to know here is, obviously, May 22nd is what we're running for right now, obviously. And then May 23rd, we'll worry about that. But your campaign has to also be looking at a runoff mathematically. I heard Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle tell several people at several stops yesterday that mathematically there would be a runoff. How would you, if you're the number 2, even maybe the number 1 candidate, but how are you going to bring a Clay Tippins 5 and 6% and a Michael Williams 5 and 6%? How are you going to bring that along to your campaign? And also, do you have the resources? Do you think you'll have the resources to match up with the lieutenant governor in a runoff?
Look, I told my team from the beginning, when no one had ever heard of this, we were just a state senator from just outside of Atlanta, that we had to earn it every day. And that's what we've been doing for the last year, is speaking to voters about our conservative vision. Voters want an alternative to the political class. I don't worry about Casey Cagle because I already know the voters are looking for an alternative to him. If we're in a one-on-one environment with him, they're going to pick true conservative leadership over 24 years of a career politician who campaigns like Ronald Reagan and then governs like Barack Obama. So the way we get whoever votes for Tippins and Williams and Kemp to join our team is by continuing to share our vision. I would be grateful for for their endorsements if that happens. But the more important thing is continuing to talk to the voters that voted for them and getting each of those voters to join us, because they're going to be far more aligned with us than they are with Casey Cagle's lack of vision.
Well, I guess I'm being just a little redundant on your answer there, because you did say yesterday you told Fetcher News that that you would beat Casey Cagle in a runoff, and Casey is weak because he is a career politician. Casey has 100% name ID, but 65% of folks are looking for an alternative to him. All right, so how do you know that 65%? Do you have some internal polling? What are you seeing out there that leads you to believe that 65% of Republican primary voters are looking for an alternative to Casey Cagle?
Yeah, so, 60, 65%. I mean, whether he's at 40 or whether he's at 35, there's no new information coming out about Casey. He's been in the public eye for 24 years in Georgia. So how are you going to convince people today to vote for you if they already know who you are and they're not already with you? That's the point there.
Do you think your newest ad comes back to, and not that you ever left it, sir, but it comes back to faith, Christianity? You very seldom do any ads or talk anywhere that I've listened to you speak that you don't discuss your faith with the voters. But I mean, is that what you think? Is that what you think could work to the far right? And will that be not a problem? No disrespect, but I don't care to say on this TV we share that faith, okay? But I don't want to say problem. But if you were to get into the general election, would you not have to look at some other things or maybe tone that back? And I don't know how other way to frame that.
I want people to know who I am, how I would lead, and my Christian faith and my belief in the Lord Jesus Christ is foundational to how I lead and how I would serve. The scriptures of the Old and New Testament inform my political philosophy as well. So what we're trying to do is let people know the depth and breadth of how we make decisions, because all the particulars of policy are not going to be covered in an election cycle. So we talk about eliminating the income tax. We talk about elevating education. We talk about a limited and focused government that delivers results for taxpayers. But there's a myriad of issues. I want to make sure our religious liberties are protected in Georgia. I want to make sure people know that the foundational constitutional principle of the Second Amendment, that God-given right to protect yourself and your family, will remain strong under my leadership. So the Christian values of our country need to be protected. And that, to me, sells in any election, because Georgia is a conservative state and we need true conservative leadership to lead it.
I found the way I actually want to frame that, and I didn't do a very good job going into that, Mr. Hill. So I want to frame it this way. We hear in politics all too often, run to the right. Run to the right. I'm getting the wrap-up sign. You got to go. So let's two more things. Run to the right, move to the center in the general. And Georgia is not blue, but it's getting a little bit purple. So are you telling us, would you guarantee today the Hunter Hill that we talk to, see, and you discuss your values today will be that Hunter Hill in the general and as governor of Georgia if elected?
Absolutely. Of course. I mean, of course, there's nothing else to discuss on that. We are going to be talking about the same issues as we get through this entire election cycle, because that's how we're going to lead as governor.
We got to wrap up. Your team said that we got to go and you got to move on. One or two very quick things that you're hearing on the campaign trail from the voters that the voters of Georgia want to know about their next governor or want to ask their next governor. What are one or two of the number one questions you're being asked on the campaign trail by voters?
Voters want to know that I'm going to be as conservative as I'm talking about, because people are tired of career politicians campaigning like Ronald Reagan and then governing like Barack Obama. So the whole differentiator between us and every other candidate in this race is that we have true conservative values and principles, and we have the leadership ability to get those values and principles implemented into policy. What is the point of having majorities in the House and the Senate if we're not going to have a leader that's guiding and moving people towards that vision of a more conservative Georgia that delivers results for taxpayers? And that's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to lead. And that's why we're going to win this election in November.
Well, thank you, Hunter Hill. We wish you well on the campaign trail. We know it's a busy time, and we'll get you back on here before Election Day. You enjoy the day meeting with voters.
Brian, thank you so much. Sorry, we got to run. We got a big crowd waiting
we got to go. Go. Voters are priority. Okay, I'm your host.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. I'm your host, BKP, and we've been talking to Republican candidate for Georgia, Hunter Hill. And, I come on here, and I want to be clear, Amanda, because I'm kindly speaking to you because I don't want to be confusing. I endorse nobody. But I will go as far as say, hey, I like this person, and because I get tired of those people that act like they're hiding their belief behind the hot studio lamps and a banner that says NBC when we really know, Chuck Todd, you voted for Hillary Clinton, right, Amanda? So instead of saying that, right, and pretending like I'm so impartial, I will say I like people. I will tell you this, I'm going to do. Now, I'm sorry to say, not sorry to say, but I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to do a just my opinion the weekend before election. I'm going to put them out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to do the governor's race, and it's going to be just my opinion, not an endorsement. Fetcher News does not endorse. I personally do not. I will tell you just my opinion of all the candidates. You may be interested in just my opinion of Clay Tippins when I write that article, okay? I actually like Brian Kemp. I actually like Hunter Hill. I actually like Casey Cagle. I do not dislike anybody else, but I get along with those gentlemen. We'll leave it at that. So I'm going to be doing a Just My Opinion series. Insurance commissioner, when I've learned, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor of Georgia, just my opinion. I think Clay Tippins is what I was trying to paint, Amanda. I think he knows he doesn't stand a chance, okay? He knows he doesn't stand a chance. Sorry, Clay. Sorry, Mr. Tippins. Sorry, Navy SEAL. Sorry. He doesn't stand a chance. But for some reason, he's trying to pull Hunter Hill back, okay? And I'm not for sure why he's trying to pull him back and move Brian Kemp into second. And I don't know if there's not something there. This is politics, folks. I would say it's a big boys game and a big girls game for Hillary, but then that may imply genders, okay? So we don't want to imply genders here. But put your big girl or your big boy panties on because it's politics. So Clay Tippins is trying to pull Hunter Hill back, not excel himself forward in this race. And if he pulls him back, then Casey Cagle would be running against Brian Kemp. Maybe Casey Cagle feels that he can go Armano. Is that what it is? I don't know if I'm right or wrong in this, but I'm just saying it. He can go toe-to-toe with Brian Kemp. But I think maybe Casey Cagle knows that Hunter Hill is got a little more fire in his belly. A little more action. Although, I do like Brian Kemp. So, why does it look like they're trying to push Kemp in the second and Cagle in the first? Why? I'm going to tell you my one reason. My one reason. Because if Casey Cagle runs against Brian Kemp, it will be tough to use the phrase career politician. You got it? That's right. If Hunter Hill runs against Casey Cagle, he can bellow out at those debates, career politician. But see, Brian Kemp might have a tough time going for that. And same thing back and forth. So the ugly right now that's playing in America, people do not like career politicians, just my opinion. And if you run against Brian Kemp in a runoff, you might pull that career politician label off of you. There you go. Just my thought. I don't know where I'm at on that. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Rudy Giuliani. Hey, Amanda, We got Apple Blossom Festival.
We do, and we are ready.
Wow, that was exciting and energetic.
Now we got everything ready for you.
Well, you know what I got here?
You just sit back and relax. We got everything ready.
Wow. Okay, thank you there, Sparky. I have my FYN chapstick.
Yeah, we got the gift bags ready. We got the FYN chapstick
So
and candy.
Apple Blossom Festival, look for our banners, Team FYN Sports, FYNTV.com, and FetcherNews.com. Stop by and get you a little piece of chapstick. Yeah, Fetcher News chapstick. I like it. We're going to be giving it out along with little gift bags. And we always put at the corner of we put a little thing there, a dish for the doggies to get water. And we get the milk bone dog biscuits out. Yeah. Bring your humans by FetcherNews.com at Apple Blossom Festival in LJ this Saturday and Sunday. We come back. Rudy Giuliani said Michael Cohen paid the $130 and Trump paid him back. Take care of that. I'll get it back to you, Trump said. Take a break, Amanda.